Hello and welcome to Top Story. Today, the United States, where Mitt Romney finally gets his campaign for the Republican Party presidential nomination back on track by winning the Michigan primary. After defeats in Iowa and New Hampshire, this was one primary the wealthy former governor of Massachusetts just had to win. Not least because Michigan is where he was born and brought up, and Michigan is where his father served 3 terms as governor. The Romney campaign invested time, effort and serious money in Michigan, and it's paid off. John McCain, who came in second, won Michigan in the 2000 primary and had been hoping victory would give his campaign unstoppable momentum. The primary was fought over the economy, a key issue in a state which is the highest unemployment in the United States and where the once vaunted automobile industry has fallen into deep decline. Mitt Romney promised to make it his personal mission to revive the state's flagging fortunes. Well, joining me now to discuss the race for the presidential nominations is Stephen Ekovitz, Professor of Political Science at the American University of Paris. Stephen, thanks very much for being on Top Story. Back from the brink for Mitt Romney, just how important was this primary for him?
If he had lost this election, it would have been essentially the end of his campaign, because as you've pointed out, this is his home state, he's the native son. But the fact that he won it, well, that's expected. I mean, a native son should win his home state. So this is very local politics. The fact that John McCain came in second does not eliminate McCain. It would have helped McCain a lot had he won Michigan, that's for sure.
Do you think this is just a one-off, though, for Romney, or do you think this will give his campaign momentum now?
I think we shouldn't exaggerate the impetus that this is going to give to Romney's campaign. The polls show that it's John McCain who defeats both Democratic candidates, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Mitt Romney loses to both. That has to be very important in the eyes of the Republican establishment. This establishment, however, does prefer Mitt Romney, who's more conservative, to John McCain, who's seen as not only more moderate, but uncontrollable by the Republican establishment.
What is it, though, about the Romney campaign? Why hasn't it really got moving? Because everybody's saying, well, he's got lots of money for one thing, and it's a very well-organized campaign, but it just doesn't seem to fire the imagination.
I think it's partly image. I mean, maybe even largely image. Mitt Romney has changed his message a little too much in order to win votes. The advantage of McCain is that he's held his ground. As he said during the campaign in Michigan, he tells the truth. Now, that doesn't always pay off in the short run in politics, to tell the truth, as it was the case in Michigan, because McCain said those jobs that had been lost in the automobile industry were gone forever. That's not electorally astute to say that. That's true. Now, both candidates, however, were pledging to help workers or to reconvert workers, but the polls also showed that those who voted for Romney did find that it was important, did consider it important that he was the native son, that his father had been the governor. So that did help him a lot.
How much of a setback, though, for McCain? He had been hoping for a third win in a row, would have given him momentum. He didn't get it. On to South Carolina now. Do you think his campaign is sort of off the rails momentarily?
Off the rails, he has a challenge. I tend to think it's still going to be McCain, because McCain is the winner so far. He, in any case, is in the center-right of American politics, and that's where Americans are, for most Americans. Americans usually elect as president somebody from the center-right. McCain already has that part of the electorate. He's already there. Romney is conservative. It's interesting to see that in this Michigan primary, Romney won all the conservative Republican votes, most of the conservative Republican votes. McCain won most of the moderate Republican votes and the moderate independents. But once again, it's enough. You win the conservative votes and you win the primary in Michigan going after conservatives, and of course exploiting your close and intimate ties to the state. But you don't win a presidential election there. You don't win a presidential election by going too far to the right.
One big Republican candidate who we haven't seen yet is Rudy Giuliani. Why is it that he hasn't committed himself so far? What's that about?
His strategy was to bet on Florida. It's a big state with a lot of delegates. We should point out that for the most part, the primaries have been in small states with very few delegates. Florida is a big state with a lot of delegates. Rudy Giuliani had limited money, and he put it into Florida, hoping that a win in Florida would give him the momentum needed to get the nomination of the Republican Party. It shouldn't be forgotten either that, of course, Rudy Giuliani is from New York, and there are a lot of retirees from New York who go to Florida. So he has a certain recognition and even a certain loyalty among certain Floridians.
A miscalculation on his part,
do you think? So, because now the momentum is with John McCain and Mitt Romney, and even with Mike Huckabee. So we'll see. We'll see if Rudy Giuliani can bounce back. He's fallen significantly in the polls, and maybe his camp has made an important strategic error by waiting until Florida.
In Michigan, the economy was the big issue. Is that going to set the pattern, do you think, for the rest of the campaign? It's going to be the economy, stupid.
In most presidential elections, the economy is the most important issue. The most important dimension of any political campaign is the image of the candidate, and that's important. I'm not denigrating that. It's important to know that the person you're going to vote for has integrity, has experience, has courage. That's all part of image. Image is a very complex phenomenon. After image comes the economy. The economy is Americans and families feel the economy. So this is going to be, in that sense, a normal election, even though the United States is still engaged militarily in Iraq. That issue is becoming less and less important. It played a less important role, for example, in the primary election in Michigan.
It still does rather look as though it's all up for grabs with the Republicans, but they've got Super Tuesday just around the corner. Do you think that's going to settle the issue, or do you think this is a race that could go right to the wire at the convention?
I think we'll have to talk about that after Super Duper Tuesday. But it seems as if in the Democratic camp, at least, Hillary Clinton is very well placed for Super Duper Tuesday because she's very well placed in big states with a lot of delegates. We'll see what kind of momentum John McCain has going into Super Duper Tuesday. I think we'll see more clearly the situation after February 5.
What about Huckabee? He'll be coming out of South Carolina. He might do well there.
He'll probably do well in South Carolina because he'll have that evangelical vote of white voters. So that Mike Huckabee is more of a regional candidate from the South, and he has the fundamentalist Christian vote. But that's rather limited. You can win a lot of delegates with that kind of electoral base, but you're not probably going to win an American presidential election with that kind of a base.
Shaping up, do you think, to be McCain versus Clinton? Is
That's
that
what
the way
I would say
it's going?
Today, but there are always surprises in politics. You never know. But the momentum, the underlying forces, if you will, seem to be clearly on the Democratic side with Hillary Clinton, but you never know. I mean, she has already more than twice the delegates that Barack Obama has, and we'll see on the Republican side.
And we're going to have to end it there, I'm afraid. We've run out of time for today. Thanks to our guest, Stephen Ekovich of the American University in Paris. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of Top Story. Goodbye.